Hey, Emily, thank you so much for joining us and giving us some insight into being a peer assessor. Um, could you please give us a little intro to a bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Emily Parsons-Lord. I'm currently living on Wurundjeri Woi Wurrung and Boon Wurrung country in Nam. And I'm an experimental artist. I work with installation and performance, using gases, smoke, explosions, lots of really fun stuff. And I have assessed on the experimental and emerging panel a few times.
Great. Um, so please tell us about what to expect as an assessor, including the time commitment.
Yeah. Firstly, I found it quite an honor to be an assessor because you're really, you know how vulnerable people are when they're pouring themselves into an application and telling you about their project. So, um, I found it quite a moving experience, actually. General advice, I would say, is to be really honest, and also to trust yourself. When reading through the apps. In terms of time commitment, I found it much easier to mark everything in one big chunk or in big chunks rather than doing it here and there because you really get so much faster as you go along and you kind of get into a rhythm of it, which was yeah, I found happen when you had like one after the other. And some apps will take longer than other apps to read. So I know some people would set an alarm for 15 minutes, but I found it more useful for me at least to have a goal of maybe 8 apps in 2 hours. And, those ones that kind of require a little bit more of detailed attention. Um, I was able to allocate that time a little bit more fluidly. Um, yeah, well, I guess like I don't know, everyone will find their way, but I really started by really kind of scanning the app and just seeing is it complete? Have they attached the support material? Is the budget there? Which is surprising that you have to look for that, but you'd be surprised. Um, and I guess after doing those things, I would always start by reading the short description, which will kind of tell you what more you need to know to. I guess the goal is to have a really full understanding of the project. Um, so after reading the short description, sometimes I'd jump straight down to the budget and see how the budget tells the story of the project. And then often I'd also look at the support material before coming back in and then going, okay, wait, what's going on? And having a closer read or a detailed read of that long description and just seeing how it aligns with the timeline and the budget and that sort of stuff. Um, to yeah, get a full picture of the artist and the project and where it sits, I guess, in the sector. My biggest advice would be to use the notes section. That is so crucial. And I found it really because that's a private space. Um, so I tried to put as much in there as possible, including, and I guess it comes back to just being really honest, including any questions that I had lingering or any gaps in my knowledge where I didn't quite understand the app or how it related to some of those questions. And those questions could be material, they could be cultural, they could be social, um, all of those things. So I found that a really useful space to come into the assessment meeting and because you're trying to hold 100 ideas in your head or more. So I found the notes section like just absolutely crucial to, yeah, be detailed there in my thoughts and my initial responses. Because when you come back, you're like that thing about trusting yourself, like trust those comments because that's your first initial response to it. So I
Mm,
found that really helpful.
that's great advice. Excellent. Does everyone agree in the assessment meeting, and what should you be prepared to do?
Not everyone agrees in the assessment meeting. Yeah, I really enjoy it's such a special thing to walk into those assessment panels and to like understand yourself in the ecology of the arts, and to honor and kind of hold the knowledge or the expertise held by your peer assessors. Um, and I think that's really special because like everybody has gaps in knowledge and blind spots as well. And so I found the assessment meeting a place where I could start asking those questions of, yeah, an art form that perhaps I'm not as familiar with, or geography, or like part of the ecology that I haven't spent as much time with. And they were really great opportunities to learn more from your peers and to ask those questions to furnish your own understanding about the project, and I guess that's the goal, is to have the most full understanding of the project that you can. Um, but it's also a space where you can be an advocate. And I guess that's honoring your own expertise in the certain part of your sector that you have on your networks and ecologies. So I really felt that responsibility of being able to fill the gap that other people might not have, so that you can share how you understand that project more with your peers as well. Um, and whilst there might be not misunderstanding, but yeah, not all agreeing, or like different
Mhm.
opinions or takes on a work, I think that discussion is really useful at untangling that and sharing the load and the responsibility of that. So I really, really got a lot out of the assessment meetings. It was also a beautiful place to reflect with peers on trends in the sector, because uh, when you read 100 or more, 100 plus apps, you start to see, I don't know, new technologies or new politics or new ideas that people are grappling with together. And you kind of get a beautiful exposure to that. And that's a nice thing to talk about and to kind of feed back into Creative Australia.
Yeah.
And then y'all can like support the sector better. So I
Mhm.
don't know. I really felt the privilege and responsibility of being in those meetings.
Yeah, wonderful. Can you describe the impact being a peer assessor has had on your personal or professional development?
That's such a good question. Um, I think being a peer assessor for me was an invitation to think a bit more broadly about the sector at large, and not just, you can get really wrapped up in your own practice and where that sits in the sector and what your opportunities and your networks are. And so it was an invitation to think more fully about different art forms and different places. And I think I really felt empowered to contribute more to that, and to feel my own agency in that. So I don't know. I really, would go to sector gatherings or meets, or, try to participate in those ways and try to feed what I was looking at and what I was learning and hearing and listening to back into the sector. And, as an independent artist, it's interesting to share dialogue with folks who are running organizations or festivals. And yeah, I think it gave me a greater sense of responsibility to my peers. And yeah, it's actually weirdly moving, which I don't think I really expected. And then on like a total like DL, it makes you a much better grant writer for yourself, and for yourself, but also, and I've certainly taken a role in different mentorship kind of capacities, and so sharing the knowledge that you gain from being in those assessment meetings, and from
Yeah.
you get to start to ask your own questions about, like, oh wait, what's missing from this app, or something like that. And yeah, I think it's a code that we can share
Mm.
um, in our communities.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for all the valuable insight. I think that'll be really helpful for our incoming pool.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks so
Okay,
much.
thank you.